Hope you are doing well there. Stay healthy and also stay at home. Welcome to my channel. I'm Fyana. In this opportunity, I'll give you an exclusive discussion related to argument structures. This term regarding to syntax. I began my speaking to invite your understanding linguistic, then it's narrowed syntax which will deliver the topic mainly talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, according to Crutch, languages are sets of signs. The signs combines an exponents or a sequence of letters or sounds with a meaning. Grammars are ways to generate signs from more basic signs. The signs combine a form and a meaning, and they are identical with neither their exponent nor with their meaning. By that we simply mean that it's sets of signs. In linguistic, language signs are constituted of four different levels. They are phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. The part of linguistics that deals with how words are put together into sentence is called syntax. On the other hand, words are not smallest meaningful units of language. For example, I take the word ducks. Ducks is the plural of duck, and as such it is formed by a regular process. And if we only know the meaning of duck, we also know the meaning of ducks. It can be concluded that syntax is the part of grammar that concerns itself with the structures of sentences. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll introduce you the overall term discussed in the argument structures. Stay tuned. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, continue my speaking. Here I'll give you an explanations briefly the general terms or several terms related to argument structures. Here I have divided argument structures into several terms. The first studied from argument, lexical categorize, subject and object, oblique and adjunct, explore syntax, and the last one, phrase and proforms. Let me try to give the explanations briefly for certain terms related to argument structures. I started from argument. In linguistics, an argument is an expression that helps to complete a meaning of predicate, or in other words, we say predicate as verbs, and it belongs to sentence. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, most of predicates or verbs can take one, two, or three arguments. Here in the argument structure, we are going to explore the arguments or the structures of arguments in the general terms and in some sample sentences, but it will be deliver more detail in the next sessions. And then the second, lexical categorize. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that there are the number of lexical categories is so many, but here we just have to understand the lexical or the major categories such as noun, or here I abbreviate it into and, refers to noun. Verb stand for fifth stand for verb. A, adjective. Adjective for adverb. P for preposition. C for complementation. D for determiner, and T for tense. And all the lexical or major categories here, we decided, or we make a decisions, or syntax have a decisions to use the attribute for them to cat, C-A-T. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the second or the third is about subject and object. The next distinction we have to understand is about word and phrase. The distinction is intimately connected with the notions of argument structures. The argument structure tells us for each word what kind of constituent it combines with the form or phrase. Finally, we are able to distinguish between word and phrase. And then the next is oblique and adjunct. Yeah. Actually, verb can take other arguments exactly subject and object, and it will be called oblique. While adjunct, what does it mean? What does adjunct means? Adjunct is a word or phrase that used to amplify or modify meaning of another word and words in a sentence. We'll discuss how both are works into sentence, ladies and gentlemen. And then the next is X bar syntax. And X bar syntax, we are going to learn about the schema of the categorical status of lexical categories in the X bar syntax. And then the last one, we are going to explore about phrase and proforms. We need to understand there are many kinds of phrase, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give you an example. The phrase such as noun phrase, verb phrase, or prepositional phrase. And then how about the proforms and all the terms here? We are going to talk. I'm going to talk them later in the next sessions. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Guys, in the previous sessions, I have introduced to you several terms related to the discussion's argument structures. Now it's time to show you detailed information, the terms one by one. I will begin to present how we can indicate the arguments in a sentence. I have taken two sample sentences there, sentence 1 and sentence 2. But before that, let me remind you that an argument is an expression that helps to complete meaning, right? And then a predicate and its argument form a predicate argument structure. Okay, to understand the differences between thematic and functional categories, we first need to introduce concept. The concept to do with how the elements of a sentence can be related each other. I have taken an example, the sentence 1 and sentence 2. In the sentence 1, there is sentence, the sailors run. And in the sentence 2, the sailors accuse the captain of treasons. The distinction between the two sentences is the first sentence is lower than the sentence 2. It means that the sentence 2 is more longer center, right? Ladies and gentlemen, in the sentence 1, this sentence describe an event which can be described as the word run. Yeah, as the word run here. When we are going to indicate an argument, we should do attention with the event include or involves on the sentence. However, in this case, the sailors run. This sentence describes an event which can be described as word run. Here, this word run is done by a group of people, refers to the sailors. Yeah, and then here the sailors, we can indicate that the sailor here is a doer. The sailor are doer, right, ladies and gentlemen? And then the sailor also refers to the noun. The noun. And then specifically, the sailors are people who run in that event, right? And then the verb. Then to indicate the argument, we also have to attentions with the verb involved on the sentence. So here, which one the verb? We can indicate that the verb here is the word run, right? Yeah, because the word run is a verb, we can take the name of verb there as a predicate. Yeah, so this is a predicate. Run is a predicate. So the sellers as the noun, it refers to the argument there. So the word run here can only take one argument. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. A word with function as the verb that will be called predicate. So here, a word which functions are the verb. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, remember that the word which functions as the verb in a sentence we can call as a predicate. So we put here as predicate. Run is a predicate. And then the word which functions as a noun in a sentence here, in this case, we can call argument, ladies and gentlemen. So this is an argument. So let me see the sentence 2, yeah, ladies and gentlemen. In the sentence 2, the seller accused the captain of treason. Which one is the verb there? The verb here is accuse. We said that in the previous sections that a verb, yeah, okay, this one, accuse as the verb. So we can indicate the word except accuse. There are sailors, the captain, and then the captain of treasons. There are we can indicate that there are argument as the definitions of arguments itself. In the case of the sentence 2, the seller accused the captain of treasons. There is accuse even described there. Yeah, there is accuse that involving the three things. Someone doing the accuse. Which one? Someone who doing the accuse. This is the sailors in the sentence case here. However, also something that get accused after we know that someone who are doing accuse is the sellers, yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So we should do attention with the word the captain of treasons. The captain of treasons here belongs to or refers to person or someone who are getting accused. Yeah. So this is the address of the accused. So here this is a doer and this is the undergoer, ladies and gentlemen. However, we need to attention a lot because in the words the captain of treason, this is a longer words, right? Because we can say that this is not a word, but this is a phrase. Why? Because we need to cut both words, the captain and of treasons, because before treasons here there is of. Of is kind of preposition, right? So we can cut the captain and of treasons. So I can or we can indicate in the sentence of the sailors accuse the captain of treasons into some or into three arguments. Where's the arguments? The first I take the sailors as an argument, and then the captain, because we have cut the words here, so the captain belongs to arguments, also of treasons also are arguments. So there are one, two, three arguments in the sentence of the sailors accuse the captain of treasons. Why it happened? The argument structures also tell us for each word what kinds of constituent it combines with to form a phrase, ladies and gentlemen. In this case, we have to distinguish between word and phrase. Which one the word, which one phrase. So we can indicate the number of arguments in a sentence. Yeah, briefly, what arguments are involved in any situations is determined by the meaning of the predicate. Run, the word run, can only involve one argument, whereas accuse can take three arguments. Naturally, we can distinguish the predicates in terms of how many arguments they involve. For instance, the words run can take one, or we can say that the word run is one plus predicate, whereas while the word accuse here is three plus predicate. So we argue, so we agree with the statement that a predicate and its argument form a predicate argument structures. They are the samples of argument structures, predicate argument structures. Okay, let's we check again the sentence 2. When we see the captain of Thracians, it reminds us to categorize word and phrase. Here, I'll give you an explanation, guys. We just ignore verb run. We just ignore run and we just ignore accuse. We attention to the words the sailors, the captain of Thracians, or the argument. Let us check in the sentence 1. The sailors here, there are two kind words there. Which one? The and sailors. The here, the refers to determiner or belongs to determiner, while sailors belongs to noun. And then to know what kind of category of these words, we need to find head. Yeah. In the phrase the sailors, there is determiner as I explained, and then the two combine to form a phrase. And all the determiner analysis in the syntax, the determiner is a head over the noun sailors. However, the existence of determiner phrases is a controversial issue in the study of syntax. The traditional analysis of phrases such as the sailor is that the noun here is a head, which means that the D as determiner just followed by the noun. So here we can say that the sailor is noun phrase. But there is another arguments that we can indicate that the sailors or the other examples such as the determiner and nouns as determinant phrase and also as noun phrase. But however, in this case, I will give you that this is noun phrase, ladies and gentlemen. And then how about the sentence 2? The sailors accuse the captain of Thracians. We have been agreed that the sailors here as an argument, the categories of this word or this phrase, is noun phrase. And then the captain also, there is the determiner here and there is captain as a noun, so this is noun phrase. Yeah. While when we look at the word Thracians, before the word Thracians put there is word of. Of is a kind of prepositions. So we can say that of Thracians belongs or refers, of Thracian is preposition phrase. Yeah. So when we indicate the arguments, we also have to attentions to the word categorize or phrase categories, and we also we are able to differentiate between word or phrase in their categories. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, to sum up, alright, we can indicate arguments by the first, find predicate. Here we can see verb in the sentence. And then second, classify the words category, noun, verb, prepositions, and each other. And we also have to classify word and phrase. And the third, describe an event, so the meaning of the whole sentence completed. And then fourth, the last one, let a predicate and its arguments form a predicate argument structures, such as run is a one plus predicate and then accuse as three plus predicate. After we understand the arguments involved in a sentence and the words work each other in the whole sentence, let me see the distinctions between subject and object. As for verbs, they always have one argument in a sentence. Look at the sentence 1, the sailors run. This is verb. Verbs always have one argument in the sentence as an e, and this is subject. So the sailors here is the subject for predicate run. Look at the sentence. Yeah, the sailors run. Okay, the subject is that argument which is in the nominative case. You can recognize it by the form of pronoun that you have to use. I have differentiated the pronoun, the nominative pronoun and accusative pronoun. Here, the nominative pronoun can be a subject, while the accusative can be an object. Let me see. He, she, it, they, we, I, you can be subject in a sentence, while him, her, it, them, us, me, and you, yeah, can be can be an object in a sentence. However, we have to attention or notice the words you and it, pronoun you and it, both subject, both in subject and object, the form are similar. The subject you can be subject, yeah, and then also can be an object. So that the you can be a form of accusative pronoun and nominative pronoun in this case. Let me take an example in the sentence here. Boy give boy give her a rose. Boy here we can replace to he. He gives he gives her a rose. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, he is a nominative pronoun as subject, and then her accusative as object, here as direct object her, and then this is verb. So it means that we put she here, it is wrong. We need to put her as no accusative pronoun to complete the verb gives. He gives her a rose. We can say that he gives she, but we can use she or the form of object from she, her into replace into she. So the sentence will be he gives her a rose. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. And then instead you have to use the accusative form. You are looking the direct object. Here the accusative form we can call it as direct object her. Her here we can call as direct object or abbreviate it into GO. So boy gives her a rose will be boy as subject pronoun he, and then gives as verb and her as direct object and a rose as the object or the complement, yeah, ladies and gentlemen. That's the distinctions between subject and object in pronoun, accusative and nominative. On the other hand, English also puts the subject in the right before the verb and the object right after verb. So this also actually to be another diagnostic for subject and object. We see in the sentence the sailors run. When we indicate that run is a predicate and in the other word it is verb. So the right before run we can indicate that there is subject. Yeah. And then while in the sailors accuse the captain of treason, we also can say that accuse here as verb. So the subject positions is before right before the verb. So this is the subject. And moreover, how about the object positions? The object positions, according to English, yeah, uh, the positions is right after the verb. Right after. So the subject is the captain of treason. The captain of treason is subject in that sentence. Yeah. Okay, then let me talk about kind of verb in a sentence. There are two kind of verb, transitive and intransitive verb. A verb is called intransitive if it has no direct object. Otherwise, it is called transitive. Let we see the verb run and accuse. I have divided the kind of verb into transitive in the right side and the left side is intransitive. Let me see at the word run and accuse. In the word run, the sailors run. After run, we can put full stop there. Yeah, we can put full stop because run, the verb run, can stand alone without an object. We know that someone who are doing run is the sailors or are the sailors. Yeah. While in the intransitive verb accuse, we can put just the sailors accuse and then full stop. Here we do not understand the complete sentence. We know that someone is accused, but we do not know the object or the person who gets an accused. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to give the complete sentence. The sailors accuse the captain of treason. Yes. Here, the captain of treason is gives the complement or give the complete sentence for the sailors accused. However, in other hand, we have to understand that there are words that they can be transitive and intransitive. For example, I take the word it. Yeah. It can be transitive and also intransitive. And I take an example. The children eat it. For example, the children eat. I give full stop here. And it is okay when we say that the children eat. The children just eat. We know that the persons or the people who are eating is the children. Yeah. But we also can state the children eat cake. Children eat cake. We also can put direct object or objects after the verb eat. It is possible. So the words eat can the words eat becomes both transitive and intransitive verb in a sentence. The children eat. We know that the person or the people who are eating is children. And then the complete one, the children eat cakes. Both are possible in a sentence. Yeah, that is. Continue to the next discussions. In these discussions is regarding scheme structure. Linguistics have therefore proposed the following scheme that one have two attributes. The first is major category and second projection level. In the major category, available, noun or N stand for noun, verb, adjective, adverb, prepositions, determiner, tense, or in the phrase form, there are noun phrase, determinant phrase, preposition phrase, and each other. While in the projection level, the attribute or the scheme structures available in the form O or null, O or 0, and then 1, and then 2. All this kind of level 0, level 1, and level 2, we can call them as X bar or X bar syntax. In this case, we make a notations for words and phrase, and seems like this. D in the rank of level 0 or D O. Then we make a notations for the word form and then for the phrase form into the notations from scheme structure. Like we see in the notations, we take an example, the words in determiner or D, or we appreciate D in the rank of 0, or the level of 0. It refers to the determiner. We can call or D in the level of 0 represent determiner. Well, when we put the word D in the level of 1, this is represent the intermediate level or in the intermediate determiner or the first determiner in sentence. And then how about the D in the level of 2? D or determiner in the level of 2, it represents the determiner phrase. Or we can call that in this case the scheme structures for words is in the level 0, whereas while in the phrase scheme structures belongs to level 2. So the distinctions between word and phrase in scheme structures is about the level of the projection level. Now we are going to implement the scheme structures into some examples. I take the example for determiner. Here that is determiner. When we want to make an attribute for determiner, we can make a brackets for them, and then we use attribute cat as I have explained. Then the major category, all the major category in English, such as determiner, phrase, noun phrase, and then verb and etc. They involves on the attribute of cat. Attribute. We used attribute cat for them. verb, determiner, noun, and each other. And then we put here the projection level is 0. So this kind, the descriptions of the scheme structures, how we use attribute in the scheme structures of determiner. So this is the determiner. Okay, while in how to make scheme structures for determiner phrase, look at this sample. On the determiner phrase, we just only replace the projections level from 0 to 2 level or level 2. So when we make a bracket between the attribute of cat that represents or refers to the D as determiner, and then there is the projection level of 2. This means that this is determinant phrase or the scheme structures of determinant phrase. Yeah. Okay, let me show you the another example. Okay, the another example. The another example. Yeah. I make bracket cat for free, and then projection level is 2. Yeah, projection level is 2, and then bracket again, cat for D, and projection level is 2, while here cat for verb and projection level is 1. So I can translate the word there. Yeah, translate. This one. Cat verb in the projection level 2 refers to, remember that on the projection level 2, this kind of verb is verb phrase. Yeah, because here there is level 2. So this is verb phrase. And then here also we found the projection level 2, here determiner. So we know that this kind of phrase. Yeah. So this is determinant phrase. And then the last one, the attribute is for Fyana, so this is verb. And the projection level is 1, so this is verb. So this is the words, this is the phrases. Count, stand for phi, and then projection level from 1, and then here cat, phi, project level O. So the translation, we can translate that verb or verb in the projection level of O. Yeah, just now we have learned about how the scheme structures of determiner, and then now let me show you the explanations how to make scheme structure for verb. We know that there are transitive verb and intransitive verb. Here, when I give you the bracket here, when I make a bracket from the attribute phi, this is an attribute phi, and then the projection level is 1. So this is the kind of verb, right? And then look at this one. When we put there the attribute verb and the projection level is 0, and then we put here TRS, it means that this transitive verb, while the transitive verb here, the symbol is minus. Why the symbol is minus? This indicates that the verb here, after the verb, there is no additional information such as direct object. There is no direct object, so the verb here can stand alone. I'll give you an example. Here, the word sit, yeah, the word sit, the word walk, and then the word talk. Uh, from the sentence, for example, I sit. We can take full stop here. I sit. Yeah. We uh we can also put the additional information here. For example, I sit on the chair. But it is okay, it's fair when we just only write down the word I and sit. So there is no verb here. There is no there is no, this is verb, but there is no direct object here. There is no direct object. While in the other sample, here there is the attribute cat for fee, and then the projection level is 0, and then the attribute of TRS, there is the symbol of plus. It indicates that after the verb, yeah, after the verb, we have to or we need to put down or write down or add direct object. Yeah. For example, I take what? And then I see what? I see you. I see him. I see her, and etc. There are two different set or distinctions between the attribute additional attribute TRS with the projection level plus and minus. We continue to the next discussions. Now we are going to discuss about oblique. Actually, verbs can have other arguments besides subjects and objects. These are called oblique. Take an example. In the sentence, the sailor accused the sailors accuse the captain of treason. In this case, we know that there is verb accuse. Yeah, and then this is an argument. This is also an argument. This is also an argument. Okay, so we need to classify the sailors is argument. This is noun phrase, and this one is also noun phrase. Now we have to attend with this word of treasons. Here we know that we can count or is a kind of preposition. So in the scheme structure, we can use the additional attribute prep as prep. So how we can make the scheme structure as usual using brackets, and then the cat attribute for accuse verb, and then projection level, because this is just a verb, we use 0 level, and then about TRS here we use plus, yeah, because this indicate the direct object, the captain of Tristan as direct object, and then we add the new attribute prep as prepositions here, and the prepositions here is of, so just write down of as preposition. So the attribute symbol attributes like this, and then the projection level become like this. Fee For cat attribute, projection level 0, and then because there is direct object after the verb, so we need to put down the symbol or the projection level plus, and then preposition here we put or write down of. Actually, similarly for every other prepositions, we need to notice that we have used the features prepositions of also for prepositions itself. This makes sure that the right preposition appear at last in the structures. The rules say that the prepositions is to be found the right of direct object. If there is one, this is generally the case. Something is like that. I give you an example. Okay, the preposition rules. When we find the prepositions, but the words or the phrase is not about the object. Yeah, they found the gold in the river. This is found as verb, and then the gold and preposition here as the direct object. But we need to distinguish between this sentence. They found in the river the gold. How we can say that this is the direct object if the structure is they found in the rifle the gold. So the right sentence will be this one. We move to the next discussions. We are going to discuss about X-bar syntax. Sorry. Okay, this one remember. X-bar syntax. The structures of prepositions look similar to the transitive phrases, except that the subject is generally missing. This similarly exists across categories. We take as an example noun phrase. They exist not only noun as such. So I will give you the example that sometimes we find the prepositions in the phrase or the preposition phrase, but the kind of preposition phrase, the positions is to be subject. For example, the counting of the horses. In the previous discussions, I have told to you that the prepositions of the reason becomes object, but here in this case the counting of horses here follows the verb counting, but the positions of this word is subject. The counting of rations. Okay, another example. Some president of the Republic. This phrase also take position as subject. Even there is preposition here, preposition phrase. Some of president of the Republic. So the stem structure be like we can write down the additional information from the preposition, something for example cat is noun, project 1, and then preposition. We can replace the prepositions into kind of preposition itself. For example, here, of, or the another prepositions we can change to about, we can change to for, and etc. So the preposition, the attribute prepositions represents all the kind or all the kinds of preposition. Yeah, the preposition here represents all kinds of preposition. Now we take the bold step and abstract from the categorize and declare that English has the following general rule. I have write down into some points A, B, C, D in A and E. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Let me translate both some points or the points A, B, C, D, and E. Here, when we look at the projections X here, the projection level here is called head. It's called head, and then the projections here YP, this is specifier, and also in the points E, this is refers to complement too. Finally, we can indicate that where the projection YP in point B, C, and D, they are adjunct. Adjunct. It's called adjuncts. According to this, subjects are specifiers of verbs, while direct objects are complement for verbs. We know that the following general fact about English. The last discussions that I'm going to talk is about proform. Proform. So what is proform? Proform actually is a word or lexical unit that is dependent for its meaning or reference to some other part of the context or sentence in which it occurs. We take an example, a pronoun replacing a noun or noun phrase, then or a verb replacing a clause. On the other hand, proform also is a type of functions word or expressions that stands in for express the same content as another word, phrase, clause, or sentence where the meaning is recoverable from the context. And then proforms are used either to avoid repetitive expressions or in quantifications limiting the variables of prepositions. In English, the most common proforms are pronouns, but other words such as here, there, so, not, and do can also function as proforms. The proform term is the referring word in a sentence, the word or word group that's referred to is the antecedent. Here I'll give you example of proforms functions in a sentence. I'll write down the word, the sentence John John wrote a good essay. Full stop, and then continue to the sentence Paul also wrote a good essay. John wrote a good essay, full stop, and continue to the next sentence. Paul also wrote a good essay. Here, when you want to connect with between the first sentence and the second sentence, we need proforms. So the suitable proforms or the appropriate proform be like and. Then we can conclude John wrote a good essay and Paul also wrote a good essay. So this kind of the functions of proform in a sentence, or the proform as the kind of proform in a sentence. That's about the sample. In other words, in the connections, when we want to make a connections between sentence into sentence, so we should also mention the question words such as who, what, were, why, and etc. And the dictives such as this, those, so, and etc. which also are phrasal such as who, what, why, and where. Yep, that's all about the discussions regarding to argument structures. Hopefully it can be beneficial for us, and thanks for your attentions.